Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Team Next Generation weekly call. It is January 11th, 2017. I can't believe that. It's like going by quickly already. It's scary. So I appreciate you guys all taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us on the call tonight. And tonight, I really, like I said before, I want tonight to be about you guys, an open forum, a question and answer where you guys can really feel free, especially the new coaches. I've got some new faces on here that I'm really excited about. And I know that there's probably a lot of questions that are going to happen. Before we jump into those, before I open it up so that everybody can chat, I do want to kind of walk through, Deanna and I are going to walk through a few questions that we get a lot of, just so that we can probably hit on a couple that people may be having already. So I'm going to go ahead and start this off. The very first thing that we get asked by almost everybody, and if we're not asked, we need to be telling them anyway, and this goes for all coaches. How do I even get started? Like, what do I even do, right? So, guys, let's back this up for a second. You have a coach, you have a challenger, you have somebody you've been speaking to, and they're so excited about doing what it is that you're doing and that we are doing, right, as coaches. So now you've got somebody that really wants to help people. They're excited about the products. They've got a belief, but they don't even know where to get started. Like, what do I even do? And I'll tell you right now, we have gone through so many different processes for trying to help new people. And we have found a lot of what didn't work and a little bit of what has worked. And so that is what's led us to the place that we are at today, and why I say this next process is how I would tell any brand new person to get started. There are very simple steps. There are 3 steps for everybody to get started. So if you're a brand new coach, there are 3 things that you need to do over the next 30 days. And you need to do these things every day. And it's really easy. It is, 1, you be a product of the product. You do your workout, you drink your shake, you follow your nutrition plan, and you share it online. You share what you're doing. You share your excitement about it. You share the pains and the struggles and the fun and everything that you like about it. You share that online. When I say online, I mean any sort of social media that you're comfortable with, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it is, that's how you share it. But you share what you're doing, and you do that every day. Step number 2 is you invite people, your friends, family, anybody you know, to join you and your coach, right? Whoever signed you up, and your coach in the next challenge group that coach is running. I would suggest personally that you start that group, you co-coach that group with your coach versus starting your own group. Are there coaches out there that can start their own group, never doing it with anybody else? Absolutely. I'm not going to tell everybody you have to be in a group, in a challenge group with your coach. However, I find a lot of value in not having all of that pressure up front and allowing your other coach to take some of that pressure off of your shoulders and really allow you to dive into what's important, which is really inviting people, sharing your journey, and going through your own process within the workouts. So you invite, and your goal at that point is to get a minimum of 3 to 5 people to join your challenge group. That's all you're gonna do. You're joining the group with you, not from, meaning so that you want them to join the group with you, not you're going to coach them in this group, right? So there is, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it's really simple. So you do your workout, you be a product of the product, and you share it online. You invite as many people as you can with the goal of 3 to 5 people at minimum joining you in the next group, right? And the third thing, and the only other thing that you have to really focus on, is simply personal development. You spend 10 minutes a day just diving into making this muscle the strongest muscle in your body, because it's the most important muscle for this particular game, right? Like this, and I'm not just talking about coaching. When I say game, I mean the fitness realm. Getting fit, getting healthy, that's here. Like a lot of that is here. We all know that, right? None of us, I guarantee there's people in this call that did not want to do their workout at some point last week, probably. I know I didn't want to do mine, right? But you got to show up anyway. I didn't even fully do mine today, so on me, right? That's how much I'm lame, but I was shoveling a lot of snow, so I felt like I still got a good sweat. But that is literally all you do. Now, for the coaches, for you guys that are starting new coaches off right, I would suggest personally saying, invite people. Here are some scripts. I'm going to message you some scripts on how those private invites look, right? What does that look like? You know, real simple stuff. And then the coaches, you can use that however you want. People can use that however they want, as long as they just change that so that it sounds more like them. But it's really simple. For some coaches out there, and this is not everybody, for some people, that is more than enough, and don't overwhelm them any more than that. For some coaches out there, the extra small, although it's small, it's still an extra step, extra step of just writing that first, hey, it's going to be a post where I'm coming out and I'm telling everybody this is a public invite. I've got a group starting and I'm so excited to be a part of it and I want you to join me too. Just this is what I'm doing post, right? For some people, that's even too much for them. Just focusing on reaching out privately, however is comfortable for them, is all they want to deal with. That's fine. But for those that can handle it, there's that extra step. That is literally, if I'm a brand new coach, what do? That's all you do. Focus just on that. Those are the vital, vital, vital things that we do every single day to help more and more and more people. That's all we do. That's not all we do. That's what we do to start with. So just get rolling. So question number 2 we hear a lot. It's not so much a question, it's a phrase. I don't want to ask questions because I don't want to bother you. I feel like I'm bothering you. I feel like I'm bugging you. New coaches, please understand, we die to have you ask questions. That's all we want, is to hear you ask questions. That's it. It is so important to us that we help you succeed in your goals in the same way that if you have a challenge or you have somebody that's looking to you for fitness advice or to help keep them accountable in a challenge group, if they're having questions with how to use the nutrition plan or how to do the workouts or how to mix Shakeology, you want them to ask questions because it gives you a stage to help them. And that's what we want to do. We want to, you can't bother us or your coach or any of it. You can't bother with questions. The key to those questions are, if you're going to ask questions, that's fantastic. It's what we want, but be coachable. Okay. Allow us to tell you, allow your coach to give you insight and try to do what they're telling you or be responsive to the advice. Because if you're coachable, that's probably the most important thing. That's why this whole thing is called coaching, right? Just be coachable, but definitely never feel like you're going to be asking too many questions or too much advice. You could not ask too many questions. That's what we're here for. Another big one is how do I post online, right? When you tell me, well, hey, post that first post, or you want me to share online what I'm doing with my health and fitness. I don't even know what to say. I don't know how to let people know. It's a great question, and we get it a lot. Later at the very end of the call, I'm going to give you guys a couple resources to help you navigate that concern and a few other concerns, okay? But I'll touch on it really quickly. Number 1 is you're sharing your journey. You're sharing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Like I said, what you love, what you hate, what you're struggling with, what you're kicking ass on, right? You're sharing all of that stuff online. Here's the key though. You're sharing it with emotion, not promotion, okay? Actually, I just heard Jessica Vanderberg today in a post. She said something and I was like, oh, I like that even more than emotion instead of promotion. She said, facts tell, stories sell. And I was like, dead on. If you're just telling people what's going on, I've got this is on sale, and and that nobody wants to hear it, and all it does is tell people, and it tells them a lot of information you don't want them to know, because it tells them that that's all it's really you're focused on is this, right? I'm just focused on sales. But stories, telling people what you're doing and why you're doing it and why it's impacted your life, how it's impacted your life, how it can help others, the questions and concerns that you had, and the objections that you had before you started, and how you've overcome those objections and what you found beyond them, all of those things, that's a story. And those stories are what people relate to. And that relatability is where you are allowed to have somebody open up to you enough to be able to help them. That's what it's really all about. So we get a lot of, how do I do that? How do I share? It's very simple, actually, if we don't overthink it. But like I said, I'll be giving a little bit of a link there later on to kind of tell you guys where you can find out more information about that. One other key to that is thinking about who your audience is, who you're speaking to, right? Again, if we're not speaking to someone, we're speaking to no one. So just remember that I personally, for instance, I am not really seeking or reaching out and talking to mothers, right? I can't relate to a mom. I can relate to a dad, to a stepdad, somebody that likes guns and cars and outdoor stuff. Like, I can relate to stuff that I'm into. I can't relate to pregnancy. I didn't go through it, right? So recognize who you're speaking to and speak to them. Another question, and one of the last questions that I'll answer that we get tonight, that we get a lot of, is what about, this is a little bit of a concern that we get more than necessarily a question. We hear this a lot. I don't know if I'm ready to be able to coach because I don't have this huge transformation. Or new coaches, well, I need this big transformation to help me talk to people. What else do I share? Okay, the last thing you need is a massive transformation. That's just the truth. What you need to be doing is being on, and I don't like this tag word, but being on your journey, being on that path, being on that road. That's what's important. That's where people relate. They don't relate to somebody that lost 300 pounds any more than they relate to the story of what took them to that 300 pounds, where they were along. They would relate to that person if they're sharing right all the way through that transition, not just because they saw before and after. So it does not mean, hey, I never had a massive transformation from any of this stuff, right? Deanna didn't have a massive transformation from any of it. I had a massive transformation in the stuff that I learned and what I enjoy about it and my story about why I'm so passionate about it. I had a transformation mentally, but not necessarily a huge transformation physically. But there's a reason that I'm so adamantly excited about what it is that we do and about the products and about Beachbody as a culture. And it's not because I lost 150 pounds. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only way that you can gain a following, right? So you don't have to have that. What you have to do is be the superhero of your own story. Find all those things that you think are negatives. For instance, Deanna right now is going through a shoulder problem, right? She's got this real shoulder issue. And so she can't do a lot of the exercises. She's having a real problem with that. Some people say, well, I can't do full range. I can't really show people everything that I can do. So I can't really help people because I'm incapable of doing everything that they need to be doing. Absolutely not. It's the fact that she has that shoulder injury that she can share that with people and excite people about it and show up anyway. And that is what inspires people, because somebody else out there is saying, man, if she can do it, I can do it. She's got this shoulder problem and I've got this, I can do it. That is where it all comes from. So no, there doesn't have to be a transformation is what I'm getting at there. Long story to get to that, right? Deanna, do you want to share, I know you get this a lot, is people see your photos and they're like, hey, how do I take a good photo? Like, how do I, because one thing that we say, especially for the new coaches, guys, if you're going to put a post, if there is no photo attached to that post, don't bother putting it up. Because unfortunately, we live in a day right now, especially in social media, especially on Facebook. And if there's no photo, there's not something to stop a scroll. People just scroll right by it. Most of the time, they don't even look at it. They don't stop. So you've got to have something there to draw attention. So Deanna, how do you give us some insight onto those photos? I know you got good tips.
So I'll just really quickly, whoops, I think Alexa's going to go off. Oh, okay. A couple just tips that I've kind of picked up along the way that just really help and are really super quick is, for one, when you're taking a photo, lighting is key, super duper important. So if you actually look at you guys right now and you look at different people, if there's light behind you, you're kind of dark, right? So you want to make sure that you're facing the light. For instance, you can see me really well, right? Because I've got this bad boy going like this. So get yourself a light. I got this on Amazon for like 20 bucks. You can use a flashlight. When you're taking photos, maybe go to a window. Natural light is amazing. So you're like this, so natural light is key. Lighting is really super key, really super important. Because it just shows, just brightens everything up. It makes it more just eye-catching. A lot of people ask what kind of photo editing apps I use. And I use a couple, and they're just my go-to. I use Facetune, which is a charged app, one you have to pay for. I think it's like $3.99 or $4.99 or something like that. But really great because you can edit, you can blur the background, you can kind of brighten up your eyes, you can smooth out the wrinkles, you can, change kind of the how you want it to look. So you can kind of make it cooler or warmer. And so I do that like with almost all my pictures, just really quick. Like it takes me like 30 seconds. And then I always go into another app that's called Photify, and that is a free app. But it will show the image or the logo on the bottom right, unless I think I paid like $1.99 to get it removed. And then I go in there because I try to have all my photos have a similar image. So when somebody sees a photo of me after a while, they'll say, oh, okay, that must be Deanna's photo. So I usually use the same, I don't know what you call the same, honey, do you know what I'm talking about? The same, one of you guys do. Just the same, whatever, the same filter, I guess. And then that way it just kind of has a seamless thing for all my photos. And then that's just really quick too. So those are two of my go-tos. Another free app is WordSwag. And one other thing I love about Photify is like, say, sometimes I'll put graphics or words on my photos and sometimes I won't. But one really great thing is if you're like, gosh, I don't really know something to say, Photify has a ton of quotes. Like they could be, you know, inspiration or workout related. And so if you're like, gosh, I'm not really sure what I want to talk about or what I really want to share, you can take a photo, go to Photify, maybe find a quote or an inspiration, and then that becomes your post for the day. Also, WordSwag is really great because you can take a photo and then put a graphic, words over the top. Really super simple. That's free. And those are usually my go-to. When I do a photo with a video, I use PicFrame. One other key tip that I have is, and I was guilty of this at first, but I try to think from the perspective of a phone, right? So photo collages can be good, but if you do too many and you really want to grab somebody's attention, it can get lost because you figure that people are only seeing something this big when they're scrolling through it, right? They're not even seeing the full image unless they click on it. So imagine they're just seeing something this big, but it's got like 6 pictures in it. Well, it's getting kind of lost, you know? So I would say the less pictures, the better. So if you're going to do like a before and after, maybe 2, but maybe just, you know, one visually good photo that, you know, has nice lighting, maybe some pops of color is really great to really grab somebody's interest. Because if you have something to say, but there's not a photo that grabs somebody's attention, then they're going to scroll right past it because it's actually the photo that stops them and gets them to read what you have to say. With that said, I'm not going to say spend hours because you can get sucked in with all these fun little apps and go, ooh, I'm not quite right. Ooh, I still got a wrinkle right there. I want my hair to look a certain way or whatever. Don't do that because you don't want to be perfect because imperfection or perfection kind of puts people off a little bit because I don't know about you, but I'm not perfect. So when I see perfect people, it kind of seems like it's not obtainable. So, you know, be okay with being a hot mess sometimes. That's pretty cool too. So those are my tips.
Absolutely. Do you want to explain real quick one other question we always get? And so for the newer coaches here, if you are not familiar with this phrase, you are going to hear this a lot. Success Club, or this name. Quick rundown. What is Success Club?
Okay, Success Club, in a nutshell, what Success Club is helping at least 3 people a month with getting them, you know, focusing on their health and fitness goals by pairing them with a challenge pack. And so by helping those 3 people, you reach what they call Success Club. And each month they offer different prizes and incentives. And it's a really great way to help people as well as really kind of have a monitoring tool on how your business is progressing, if that makes sense.
Totally. And guys, if you want to know, like, hey, what can I win? Check out the Success Club trip. We'll be talking about that in the team page a lot. They're amazing. And then one last question for you: who do you invite? So a lot of newer coaches, seasoned coaches, you guys are going to hear this a lot. I'm sure you already do, from people that are just starting, from coaches that are just starting, and the coaches that are just starting on this call. This question might be in there in your mind is, well, who do I even invite? Like, who do I talk to about this? Where do I even start inviting? This comes up a lot. I don't want to invite, or there's a concern. Maybe it's not even said. I'm concerned about inviting my friends because I don't want them to say no, or I don't want them to think this, or da-da-da-da-da. So who do you invite, Diana?
I invite everybody because a no isn't anything personal. And what I do is I don't say, hey, I'm going to be your coach. Let me do this for you. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this thing. I'm kind of on my own journey, and I would love people to do it with me to help me stay accountable. Is this something that you might be interested in? If they say no, that's awesome. You're like, awesome. You still have a conversation and relationship with them. They say yes, awesome. But I think so often when we go from a challenger to a coach, we put on that coach hat, all of a sudden we feel like we need to be the authority. And really, we're still just on our journey. We're just inviting people on that journey with us. And we've found things that work for us. And why wouldn't you want to offer somebody that opportunity to potentially, you know, change their health and their lives? So I invite everybody, you know, and if they don't, because honestly, like, I go in with the understanding that this isn't for everybody. Like some people are absolute diehard CrossFit and they've got a culture that they just want to be a part of, and that's cool. There's people that, you know, love going to the gym, and that's awesome. We just have the ability to provide something that's super simple, super quick, very effective, and it's a really cool community to be able to do it together. So.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. The real reason that we bring that up as well for people to understand is it's very easy. And I don't say this because I haven't done it. I've done it 1,000 times is why I'm bringing it up. It's very easy to have a friend or somebody you know and to look at them and say, well, they wouldn't be interested for these reasons. But I'll tell you what, the amount of times that Deanna and I alone have been shocked by who says yes, right? That we would have thought there's never in a million years with this person. It's one of those things where you're like, I can't even believe I invited this person to join it. And they are all over it. And they just didn't know. They just weren't aware that it was an option. It's amazing. So never sell someone short. You don't know who is going to be impacted or who's going to benefit from this. I went to the gym hardcore for 16 years. I wanted nothing but the gym. You could not have talked me out of it. Now, I am so glad that I don't have to think about what I'm going to do. I can do these programs. I can do them at home, or I can take them to the gym. Like, that's what I love about it. And I was a total gym rat. Most people would have looked at me and were like, I'm not going to invite him because he's already a gym person. He would never want to do anything at home. And at first they would have been right. But until I was able to open my eyes to it and I got invited enough times and I got followed up with that, all of a sudden, you know, and Deanna was talking about it. She's like, will you do this? And finally I was like, okay, I'll go for it, you know, and we'll do it together. But you never know who's going to say yes and who's going to say no. So later on, like I said, I'm going to give you guys a couple little places that you guys can get some more information as well. But I want to take this opportunity now that we've gone through a few of those kind of questions just to get them out of the way and open it up as an open forum to anybody that has questions. I'm going to keep it muted just because there's going to be a lot of like background noise. So if you could just raise your hand if you've got a question, and I'd be happy to click on you. Tracy, hold on one second. And what's up, Tracy?
Okay, I have two questions. One's more of a coach question and one's more of a business question. So I hardly ever go into, I go into my back office quite often, but not into the customer part because I know who my customers are. But when I went in this month, obviously, I had like 5 people in there that I'm like, who the hell are these people? Where did they come from? So I asked Jill about it, and then I snagged, Megan had asked, and Deanna had responded about what do you send for leads on Facebook? And so Deanna had wrote something out and I snagged that and I kind of altered it a little bit. And so I was going to send emails, but I sent text messages and some of the numbers didn't work. And one of them came back where this person said that they're not that person. And so then I sent emails saying the same thing and with a picture of me. So my question is this like normal in the fact of maybe you send a message to one of them and they're like, I don't know who that person is, or how many of these things play out all the way for you? Just something.
Great question. Simple answer to that is everybody's going to have a different response to that, right? Like there's not going to be one coach that's going to be, there's not like a general average of X amount roughly are going to respond to your messages. I will tell you this. And let me first say that Deanna and I Deanna is just starting to get better at this. She's better than I am at reaching out to those leads for a long time. For the first probably year and a half, we flat out were terrible about reaching out to them. So absolutely, now that we're really finally like getting it into a plan and reaching out to them and being consistent about it, all of a sudden we're getting more responses, right? So consistency does play a part in that. There's gonna be a lot of coaches that will tell you you have to reach out. You literally reach out in a text, email the next day, send them a Facebook message, like try to find them on Facebook, call them one day, like literally back to back to back, and then do it again next week. And you'll have to continue to do that before finally, they'll come back, right? They'll have to see a few of those messages in their inbox or hear a few of those. So some people immediately respond. So it's going to be very much person to person. However, I will say that absolutely without a question, do not discount those leads. I could start naming off elite coaches, top 10 coaches, coaches in general that are like doing really well, that have a fire under them, that were leads originally. They were people that somebody reached out to, talked to them, and now that person is just a total killer coach. So never discount those leads, because there's a reason that they send them out. And the fact is, you earned them or you didn't get them, right? There's a reason that they're only given out to people that earned them, and they're not just given out to across the board. For those of you that are confused about what we're talking about right now, I'm going to give you just a real quick back scale on it. Leads are, if you hit Success Club, which Deanna explained before, you help 3 people with a challenge pack, you can get leads. And leads are basically, Beachbody has an online, I mean, they were built as an infomercial company. I'm sure you've seen their infomercials. So they spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year, or over $100 million a year, in advertising. Those people that go to teambeachbody.com or that go to beachbody.com and purchase a program, they don't have a coach, they're a person that doesn't have a coach. So Beachbody says, here you guys go, we're going to take this person, and they're going to assign that person to a coach. So you're getting people that are already purchased a product, they're already looking to change their health and fitness, they're already on a path, they're ready to get started, and now because you hit Success Club, they're going to give them to you, and you can reach out and help them as their coach. So that's kind of what it is. Sorry, what was your second question?
What do you do about your taxes?
Accountant.
Yes.
So I mean, but you give them all that information of, okay, this is.
What I personally do, and like, we can't give, accounting advice by any means, but one thing I will say, because I've heard other coaches say this, and it's not true. You can't write off your Shakeology if you're consuming it. You can't write off your grocery bill because you're eating food on a plan. You're consuming that stuff. If you're using it for an incentive or a prize or a giveaway or your personal development, or you're legitimately going, taking a client out for dinner or whatever, yes. But I would say, like, I'm very, like, I want to be by the book, only because I've been audited before, and Justin's been audited a couple times.
I'm being audited. It's obnoxious.
Yeah. So when you've had to go through the ringer and you know what it's like, you know that you need to be able to really give legitimate reasons as to your expenses. So definitely talk to an accountant, because I mean, they give you, what is it, a 1099, I think. So any accountant should have that. One other thing that I actually wanted to share about the leads, Megan's right that they could give false information. One other thing though too is some people still have these things called home telephones. I know it's weird, but people do have them. So sometimes people will give their home telephone number, which you can't text. So.
Yeah, which is why I followed up with the email too when those came back and said they didn't go through. But I was kind of thrown with the one that said, I don't know who that is.
Right.
And some of them are men. And so I'm like, I mean, yeah, you want to be in my challenge group? Okay. Sure. You're doing Body Beast or whatever. Okay.
You reach out and you help them regardless, right? I mean, like, they're already there. They want help, and you never know who's going to relate to who, right? Like, I think it's funny because you're a guy. I don't know what you're doing, but the funny thing is, you're a person that I saw your tactical. I saw your tactical gear the other day. Like, I was like, whoa, look at her, man. She's like serious. So you have.
That's my sexy outfit, by the way.
See, there you go. But
yeah.
You got some things that guys would relate really well to. Like, I can talk to you about guns and stuff like that I can't talk to a lot of other women about. That's something that a lot of guys, I can talk to other guys about it, you know what I mean? But I can't, so don't sell yourself short on talking to anybody, right? You never know who you're going to connect, who's going to relate to you and you're going to connect with.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Crazy. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Raise your hand. You got a question? Corey, let me get you unmuted here real quick. What do I do for you, Corey?
So I'm new at this whole thing, and Jess and I went to school together, and she's been awesome. In fact, she's kind of been working on me for a while, and I finally gave in and to join the club. But I guess my question is, I mean, as long as I'm sure we've all probably come across them as a bunch of the naysayers about, oh, this doesn't work because look at you, you don't have the results like you were saying. And everything that you're hoping for, and we want to get this and that, and kind of how do you challenge that and kind of come back to them with that so that you kind of can get them on board and say, this actually really does work. It's not an instant gratification thing. It is something that kind of takes some time, but it's to make you stronger and healthier, in the correct way rather than these fad diets and programs that they have out there.
That's a great question. And I'm so glad you asked that, because that's something that a lot of people they struggle with it, right? It's tough to kind of understand how to deal with those objections. So first off, part of it's going to stem, and I'm not saying this with you, I'm saying in general, part of this is going to stem from how you're presenting yourself to begin with, right? So we have to be aware of how we're presenting ourselves. And I'm not saying you're doing this, don't get me wrong, but if I'm presenting myself as look at this, telling people online, I got to 220 pounds and I'm they're going to be like, dude, you didn't get the results. But if I'm presenting myself as, this is the emotional story, right? This is what I like about it. This is how it's changed me. These are the results. And I'm being honest, these are the results. If I'm being honest with what my results are, meaning like, I feel better when I drink Shakeology. I don't have the cravings that I used to have, right? I feel better when I work out, when I don't have to think about what I'm going to do. I notice I have more energy. I notice I'm getting better results than I did before. That's me being honest. So that checks off that. You can't tell me that I'm not being honest, that I don't have those results. I have them. Like, that's okay. Well, then if somebody's going to, well, you didn't get those. Well, yeah, I did. Okay, then you're lying. Well, then you're an idiot. You and I aren't going to mesh well anyway, right? But the objections that a lot of people get are kind of like, well, this stuff doesn't work. I don't do at-home workouts, or I don't do this, or whatever. Those style objections, we have kind of we have a process that we can kind of go through to kind of make it easier for people, and we call it feel, felt, found. And the reason behind that feel, felt, found specifically is I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. This is what I've found. And the reason that it goes in that order is because it starts off by saying, let me relate to you here. I get it, right? For me, I don't drink shakes. Hey, I understand. I know exactly how you feel. I didn't want to drink, and I'm being truthful, right? I'm not telling you to lie. Be honest. But for me, if somebody's talking about shakes, I didn't want to drink it before. It was way too expensive. I totally hear you, right? I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. And here's what I found. Even though I thought it was expensive, what I've learned is that I don't have the cravings that I used to crave. So for me, I save money on the Starbucks that I'm no longer drinking. It's a wash for me. I was buying a meal anyway. This replaces my breakfast, and I get more nutrients than I could in any other food. So to me, I'm saving money each month. So if you approach it kind of that way, it forces you to empathize, it forces you to relate, and it forces you to give all you're going to give is not an answer. Technically, you're going to give your experience with it, which is the best answer you can give. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different objections that people kind of get, but the key is just sharing your personal results with it, right? Your personal answer. Like, you're not gonna. I'll tell you this much: the probability of you, and you're big in CrossFit, right? Is that correct?
Sort of. I do a lot of the weightlifting, and my fiance and I do a lot of the obstacle course racing.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. So if you're reaching out to that community and stuff, you're going to get a lot of kind of similar objections along the way, right? And so you're going to get really used to kind of how to handle those objections. But most of us, we all get basically the same objections. They're all kind of fall into a few suits. And so once you kind of learn, I feel, felt, found, I understand how you feel. I felt the same way. And I found this personally, my experience to that, right? You're going to recognize that oh, okay, everybody kind of has the same concerns, right? And so it becomes really, really easy, but you just follow that line. Does anybody else have an answer to that they want to share that maybe I didn't, Deanna?
I was also just going to add, it's always fun when you do get those few kind of objections, or, I don't know, it's some weird thing, to battle those objections publicly, because it kind of takes it away. So for me, it took me a year to get to try Shakeology, because I'm I don't drink my food. I like to eat it. Thank you very much. And so I put that on there because there's other people like me that they're I'm the same way. So if you battle that objection publicly, they're oh, well, maybe there is something to this, because I don't like to drink my shake either, or I don't like to drink my food either, but she found benefits from it. So maybe there's something to this whole thing. You know what I mean? So just putting it out there before people, I share stupid things like this all the time, that like if I get nervous, I want to tell you I'm nervous. So you won't go, gosh, she seems really nervous. I like to throw it out there. Or like if I'm pitting out, I want to tell you I'm pitting out before you go, oh my gosh, look at her, she's pitting out. So kind of the same kind of thing online. Like I just kind of want to throw that stuff out there before people start thinking or questioning or wondering. I just kind of want to put it out there. And that really kind of helps eliminate those weird vibes. And then you can have that really genuine conversation.
So the way, kind of touch on what you're saying, the best way you do it, that's why we talk about inspiration, right? And talking about your story versus what like the facts are about things. Because when you're telling your story, you naturally, like I said, I guarantee, I don't know how you got involved in Beachbody in any way, right? I don't know how that process looked, but I know that part of it, the fact that you said I finally caved in, right? Says that you had a lot of objections to everything, more than likely, before you decided to take that plunge. So those objections, I guarantee, are more than likely the same objections that 99% of other people have. So when you start sharing outrightly, just without any question, everything that you're going, man, you know what I used to think? I used to think the only way that I could be in any way, shape, or form fit was if I pounded weights every single day at the gym, because that's how I was turned. But I'll tell you what, I just did P90X3 and it kicked my butt, and man, I'm feeling jacked right now. You know what I mean? Like those, like you bring those into that's part of your story. So you share that story online, and it's just slapping those objections square in the face, right? So then when you're reaching out to those people that are liking and commenting on that stuff and saying, hey, how are you? And you're starting those conversations, and you eventually invite them. They liked the post that you said that wasn't the only way you could get fit. They're not going to have that objection, more than likely, right? Or at least they've already got some insight to it. That's why it's so important that we share our stories and that we don't just share promotions, because promotions, like we said, that just tells something, but it just gives facts, but it doesn't actually get people inspired and like open them up to something different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Anybody else have questions? Oh, Nicole, hold on a second. Let me edit it.
It's not really a question. It's just a tag on to what you and Deanna were saying about objections. And one of the things that I absolutely love, I want them to be objective to what I'm doing. And the reason for being is because objections mean that there is an interest. They have an opinion about what you're doing or what it is that you're offering, if that makes sense. Because the minute they're quiet, they're still there listening and watching and stuff. But an objection simply is an interaction. And it just means, for me personally, the people that I've been working with and stuff, they give me an objection. If I can overcome it, simply is the best way to overcome an objection is to continue to build the value. The minute they stop seeing you, or the minute you stop building that value along those storylines that Justin and Deanna were just sharing about you being the feel, the felt, the found, that's when they go, aha, told you it's not going to work. So again, by being a product of the product, they're going to go, wow, she is toning up. Oh my gosh, she is losing weight. Wow, she is making some money. Aha. And then probably along your stories of you and Jessica, because Jessica says she's been working on you for a while, you sat back and you've watched and you observed. Justin and Deanna have those same people. People are watching. People are listening. They're paying attention. So just remember that when you have an objection, take it as the positive, right? When they go low, you go high, because the reality is they're going to come around. They will elevate to your level and go, the light came on. And it doesn't matter what it is, how the light is, whether it's dull or bright, it'll come on. And then they'll say, I want to do this, or I want to try that. Sorry, Jess.
No, I'm sorry. I'm totally interrupting you. Because I want people, the newest people especially, because I think my biggest fear about following up was that I was going to be bugging people. And so I genuinely like Corey. I connect with her, right? She inspires me. So when I would reach out back to her, I was genuinely interested in how she was doing. And I want to know, did I ever seem like I was really trying to force you to buy it? Or was I just seeing how you're doing, reminding you that I've got a sweet MMA program coming up? And you know what I mean? That follow-up doesn't have to be some scary, you're not trying to force them to do it, but it is important to be interested in people. And check in with them.
Yeah. Well, and it was never pushy, and it was something that you and I have a history anyway with high school and all that kind of stuff. So really in that type of a connection, it made it really nice to kind of have just that little bit of background and really the sincerity of how you were coming to me with it and saying, hey, I got this challenge group. I really want you in it. And I know that you'd be a great, inspiration and all that kind of stuff. And so I can understand coming from that type of a perspective.
Right. And then that whole year I posted about what I was doing. So, I mean, it's just exactly what Justin and Deanna are saying. Like, it's that kind of thing that gets you eventually to that spot where you can not battle their objections, but answer them honestly. Yeah, I thought all that stuff too.
I think a lot too, because I've started in the challenge group with the Core de Force, is finding and seeing that particular program that kind of really piques your interest.
Right.
And that's, I think, kind of what really grabbed me and pulled me into it for the most part.
Awesome.
That's absolutely true. You hit it on the head. That's the only other thing that I would add to that whole scenario is if you've got to talk somebody into any of this, if you really have to talk them into it, don't try. Because they're not going to, they have to want to do it, right? People have to want to coach. They have to want to get more healthy and fit. We can't force them to do any of it. It's one of the things that I love so much about this is because this isn't a sales. You can't sell people stuff here, or it doesn't work long term. You can't sell somebody fitness because they're going to do the program for a week. They're going to hate it. They're not going to do it anymore. You're going to be chasing them. You're going to feel bad. They're going to feel bad. It's just a bad situation. Exact same thing goes to coaching. People have to have a vested interest in it emotionally and mentally themselves. And if they do, and if it's right for them at the right time, that's when all the magic happens. So that's all we're looking for. That's what we're trying to seek. Any other questions? Does anybody else have anything that hasn't been answered that they want to touch on? And I promise we won't bite. Feel free. Everybody good?
If I can give one little tip, just that I got from a coach a while ago that I've been implementing, and I really find value in it, is there is, I've shared him with you guys, Bob Heilig. He's your virtual upline. He's pretty fantastic, but he talks a lot about raising interest, not resistance. So if you're sharing your journey, but your journey looks like, today I had my Shakeology by Beachbody in the tropical vegan, and then I did my 21-day fix extreme upper body fix. Then it's kind of cheesy, right? I mean, no offense. And I'll hate to admit that I did that in the beginning.
We all did that.
Because I didn't know what else to do, right? But if you're like, oh my gosh, you don't have to name the program because that raises interest, right? So you're like, oh my gosh, my legs are on fire, 30 minutes. Oh, sharing about it. If it was a good workout, a bad workout, your thighs are burning, you can't get off the toilet, or you can't get onto the toilet, and all this stuff, and only 30 minutes, and how cool is that? And then people are like, what are you doing? So they're going to be asking you questions, because if you're like, I'm doing 21-day fix, then they're like, I'm going to Google that, and I'm going to go find it, and I'm going to go get it. But if you're kind of like a little vague, it raises their interest, and they're like, well, what are you doing? You always do the coolest, you post a move, and they're like, that's a really cool move. And then, they like it. You reach out to them, say, hey, thanks for liking my video, ask them a question, and then it starts that conversation going. So kind of being maybe not that you're like holding anything back, but you're giving them the opportunity to be interested, so you can then share a little bit more. Is a really great tip that I learned from a coach a while back, and it's really helped.
Absolutely. All right, guys, then I'm going to just give you guys a couple places to find a little bit more information about this, and then we'll let you guys go for the rest of the night. So all of you are in the Team Next Generation page. I know a lot of you were just introduced to it the other day. If you go to that homepage, Team Next Generation, and you look at the top, you will see a files section, right? A little thumbnail. You can click on files, a little blue link, right? Or whatever color it is. Click files, and in that you will see a ton of different, like how to invite, so for instance, part of you, if anybody's wondering, well, how do I share my journey? How do I share my posts? Like, what do I do? How do I talk about health and fitness? There is a literal file in there that's a great asset that says 35 days of how to share your journey. And it's got post ideas. It literally says day 1, post your favorite move with a photo, day 2, and it just goes through 35 different ways to share what you're doing. So that is a massive thing. So even if you go back there just to find that, but if you have other questions, there's scripts to invite. There's ways to handle objections. There's all sorts of stuff in that. So look through those files. The other one I want to give you, and I want everybody to write this down right now if you do not already have it bookmarked. Some of us I know probably do. In fact, some of us I know absolutely do. It is www.trhb, okay, trhbcoachtraining.com. So trhbcoachtraining.com. Now, what that is it's our upline coach, Jessica Vanderberg. It's her actual coach training page. It's a website. And it is basically, if you want self-paced training, that's where you go. I will say this, especially for the new coaches. If you feel like you really want to dive into this head first, that's a great tool. However, don't make this harder than it needs to be. If you feel like it is at any point getting overwhelming or anything, step back. We have those 3 things that I put at the very, very, very beginning as the absolute most important things that we do as a new coach. And this goes back to anybody. If you're a 2-year-long coach and you're feeling like you're really overwhelmed and you're stressed out, as long as you step back and just be a product of the product and share what you're doing online and invite people to join you in an upcoming challenge group and sink your head into personal development, if you just do those things, you will still be able to help more people. Those are the foundations of what we do. So stick to that at the very, very, very least, and then add on to that stuff. So if you're doing those and you feel good about it and you feel strong and you want to go a little bit farther and you want to look a little bit ahead, jump on that website. That's great information for you. However, I tell you, don't worry too much about that. As your coach will lead you through the process if you're new, let them. But if you're really gunning, that's just something there for you so you know you have it. Otherwise, if there are no other questions at all, I will let you guys go for the evening and enjoy your families and your time. No other questions? We are good. Okay. Everybody, thank you so much again for coming out and joining us tonight. You guys have a fantastic Wednesday night. It was great seeing you, and it was great meeting all of you new faces. You guys have a good night, and we will see you guys very soon. Bye, everybody.